Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Efrem Graham. Ahead today, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi stepping down from her position as the GOP takes over. We'll have more. Plus, one ministry has found a way to help some who are living in areas with no health care facilities.
My place of home when I want to do things after work and with my family is my church. So it was a no-brainer to me to think, you know what? Maybe the way that we really can get to the community members that are not receiving care is through other avenues.
See what avenue has been taken and how it is helping the underserved in the community. Then later, see the top 5 trending stories in the world of entertainment, including a first look at the upcoming Christmas film, I Heard the Bells. All those stories and more coming up next from the CBN Newsroom.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
I want to begin this half hour in Congress where things are changing. Nancy Pelosi is stepping down as the leader of the Democrats, although she will remain as the representative from her district in San Francisco. And as the Republicans get ready to take over the House, they are already preparing for investigations into the Biden family's business practices. Gary Lane is on this story.
Democrats and Republicans alike gave Nancy Pelosi a standing ovation and a lengthy round of applause, showing their appreciation for the Speaker of the House. She responded by quoting a scripture verse, Ecclesiastes 3:1.
Scripture teaches us that for everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven.
A veteran of Congress for 35 years, Pelosi became the first woman to be elected Speaker of the House in 2007. But now she says it's time for her to step aside from House leadership.
For me, the hour's come for a new generation to lead the Democratic caucus that I so deeply respect. And I'm grateful that so many are ready and willing to shoulder this awesome responsibility.
As Pelosi remains in Congress but out of the leadership, New York Representative Hakeem Jeffries is expected to succeed her as the Democratic Party leader in the House. If elected, he'd be the first black House minority leader in the history of Congress. Meanwhile, House Republicans are wasting little time, setting the tone for when they take control of the House in January. Topping their agenda, investigations into Joe Biden's involvement in the alleged questionable business practices of his son Hunter.
The more you look into Hunter Biden, the more bad things pop up. Was Joe Biden directly involved with Hunter Biden's business deals? And is he compromised? That's our investigation.
Republicans issued a report Thursday detailing what they say they've already discovered, alleging the Bidens were involved in a conspiracy to defraud the U.S. by violating the Foreign Agents Registration Act. They say through a number of business deals with Chinese Communist government officials, the Bidens committed wire fraud, money laundering, tax evasion, and other crimes. The White House responded, saying the GOP investigation is full of long-debunked conspiracy theories. Gary Lane, CBN News.
Applications for unemployment have fallen. Labor Department numbers show a drop of about 4,000. New jobless claims now stand at a seasonally adjusted 220,000. That news comes as the bond market is sending growing signals of a recession. Interest rates on 10-year treasuries have been well above those of shorter-term 3-month bills for several days, and that has accurately predicted every recession in the country since 1955. Jews are being beaten up in the streets of Berlin. Attacks against them are up 30% this year in Germany. Millions of Europeans are accusing the nation of Israel of mistreating Palestinians and even comparing the Jews to Nazis. Paul Strand reports on the rampant anti-Semitism that's now causing Jews to flee Germany.
German Jew Simon Gorlick is calling for a mass exodus from the former Nazi nation that committed the Holocaust. Here in Jerusalem, prominent Rabbi Abraham Cooper described Gorlick's feelings.
It's not safe for him. He doesn't like hiding his Jewish identity in public. He's making Aliyah, and he's urging all other German Jews to follow him and come to Israel.
Gorlick said of Germany in a public letter, "You can't live in this country as a Jew, and I don't want to live in this country anymore."
As Europeans, we have to be worried and very concerned.
Tomas Sandel fights for religious rights in Europe.
I'm very sad because I know always when Jewish population feels that they need to leave Europe, we have troubles ahead of us.
Acts against Jews are up almost 30% this past year in Germany.
You're seeing Jews being beaten up in the streets of Berlin again.
Cooper says many in today's Europe believe Israel mistreats Palestinians, so these Europeans brand the Jewish nation a place akin to Nazi Germany during the Holocaust.
That 150 million Europeans believe what the Nazis did to the Jews in the 30s and 40s, the Jews are doing to the Palestinians here. That is a monstrous lie.
It's led Gorelick to write, "I don't want to live in a country where half the population sees our Israeli flag as a provocation."
If you say that Israelis are today's Nazis, would you get really upset if they're beating up some of them on the streets of the capital of today's Germany? Not necessarily.
Cooper believes this is just plain wrong.
Germany has a historic responsibility, now and forever, not to cause harm to Jewish people. They did enough during the Nazi era.
After World War II, Germany and many of its people condemned for decades what the Nazis did in the Holocaust. Now Cooper says that condemnation seems to be slipping away in a most troubling way. Paul Strand, CBN News, Jerusalem.
And you can see more news from the Middle East on Jerusalem Dateline. You can watch it this evening on the CBN News channel. It begins at 8:30 Eastern, or you can download the CBN News app and watch it on demand. A series on the life of Christ continues to grow with more than 420 million views of its first 2 seasons. And The Chosen begins its 3rd season today in grand style. The first 2 episodes are being shown in more than 2,000 movie theaters across the country. I traveled to Atlanta this week to bring you this firsthand look at the star-packed premiere with the cast and the creators. It's lights, camera, action. For the cast and creators of the largest crowd-funded media project in history. As they and fans begin season 3 of The Chosen with a big splash at Atlanta's Fox Theater.
It's been a beautiful opportunity for me. Season 3, for me, is probably the proudest season for me as an actor.
I'm Judas.
Shalom, Judas. Are you ready to do hard things?
Yes.
We will see.
How has the connection for you and Jesus grown over this course of time now?
We start getting into some real meaty moments in Jesus' life on screen. You know, moments I never thought I'd get to depict. And I think it's only going to go deeper.
We want to create a world that we can exist in for the next couple hours.
Creator and director Dallas Jenkins says season 3's theme is "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest."
This is the time where they go, okay, great, we're following Jesus. Everything's going to be awesome, right? When are we going to overthrow the Romans? When are we going to start making our lives better? And Jesus is like, oh, hey, funny story. That's not why I came. You're called to surrender. You're called to give up your life. This is the period of the 7 seasons where the disciples wrestle with that the most. And they ask the questions that I think we've all asked at times in our faith journey, which is, wait a minute, why isn't everything awesome? And what Jesus, I think, gives us is a new definition of awesome.
Speaking of awesome, this chapter comes with new music, a song from Matt Maher, inspired by the very first season. Tell me about the song.
So the song's called The In-Between. And so it's obviously inspired by the conversation between Mary Magdalene and Nicodemus.
I was one way, and now I am completely different. And the thing that happened in between was him.
From a mess to a mess, a blessing to a blessing.
The line itself is such a strong line, and the show is done so well that I knew instantly kind of what it needed to feel like. Making this video and seeing the song through the eyes of all the characters has really deepened my love and appreciation for the show.
He's in good company with millions of The Chosen fans. And The Chosen is in theaters for at least the next 5 days in America, the UK, Ireland, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. And fan demand could actually extend that run. Coming up, see how clinics are popping up in homeless shelters and churches to serve the neediest communities. We've got this story for you when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back to CBN NewsWatch. Many Americans are not getting the health care they need. Most of them live in what are called medical deserts. Such areas have no health care facilities and residents have no transportation. The good news for these underserved people is that they now have hope through a unique partnership. Lori Johnson brings us this story.
Union Mission Ministries in Norfolk, Virginia has found a new way to demonstrate the compassion of Christ while providing much-needed medical care.
I'm going to go ahead and get a listen to your heart here first. All right.
It's in the form of a permanent doctor's office in their shelter to help men, women, and children who are homeless.
This is a great place. It really is.
To say it's very important is a gross understatement.
The idea is to follow Christ's model by meeting people in their moment of extreme need.
God created us, one, to worship him in spirit and truth. He also created us not to be on an island amongst ourselves, that we are created to be in fellowship with one another, that we were created to be in community.
Regardless of their ability to pay, people staying at the shelter now have access to a primary care physician.
Our goal why we got into medicine is not just to take care of their blood pressure and their diabetes, but we do that. We take care of all their problems that they have, their medical problems. But you get to know the patients, too.
The ministry partnered with Centera Healthcare's new program to reach people who can't get the medical attention they need.
My place of home when I want to do things after work and with my family is my church. So it was a no-brainer to me to think, you know what? Maybe the way that we really can get to the community members that are not receiving care is through other avenues. And the faith-based and the church locations was our #1 go-to.
It's only what you have done for Christ that will last.
That's what makes Reverend Jeffrey Guns the perfect partner, as he's in the middle of one of Norfolk's neediest communities.
One of the things that is often not understood or overlooked about black churches is that we are very much concerned about the physical well-being as well as the spiritual, because it's no use to talk to people about going to heaven when you're living in hell.
Guns points out how underserved populations rarely have transportation or enough time to go to the doctor. Affordability and lack of trust can also keep folks away.
In the healthcare industry, you have to have people who are willing to work with you and then who are willing to stay the course and who are willing to say, you tell us what you need. You tell us how to do this. You tell us and help us to understand how to work in these communities. Because everybody doesn't understand how to do that.
That willingness added a resource to the one at the homeless shelter as another permanent clinic opened in a highly vulnerable area.
We're being innovative, and most of all, we are listening.
And as a way to serve countless others, this doctor's office on wheels travels to different neighborhoods, often parking in front of familiar churches. This mobile clinic is as much like a regular doctor's office as possible. There are exam rooms, a place to draw blood, give immunizations, and even privacy to discuss mental health issues. All patients are welcome regardless of their insurance status.
And we can't build brick and mortar everywhere. So having this van and be able to put the van in a certain area like Queen Street Baptist Church or Ivy Baptist or Good Samaritan and have it go back on a weekly basis, patients can get used to coming back, and that can be their mobile medical home.
It's an effort to move from health equality to health equity.
So you think equality, I'm giving everyone the same resource, right? When I think equity, what I'm going to do is I'm going to individualize that. So for example, I could have 2 chairs in here, and they're the chairs like you and I are sitting on. Well, if it's someone who needs a wheelchair, I have provided equality because I brought in 2 chairs. It wasn't equitable because one person could not utilize that chair.
So while healthcare might be available to all, certain populations are unable or unwilling to take advantage due to special circumstances. In those cases, some Christian ministries are working with healthcare providers to meet these underserved communities where they are.
Showing compassion, showing empathy, showing Christ-like love, and what that can do, and if we withhold that, what that also can do. and just understanding the weight of that. We all have the capacity to serve in a way that enhances the quality of life of people around us.
Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Still ahead, get a look at the top 5 trending, uplifting entertainment stories from the week. Stay with us. You're watching CBN NewsWatch. Wakanda Forever breaks box office numbers. Dolly Parton gets a big chance to put her money where her heart is. Those are just 2 of the 5 big uplifting entertainment stories making headlines this week.
At number 5. People return to Wakanda in big numbers. The Black Panther sequel, Wakanda Forever, earned an estimated $180 million in North America in its debut. The second best opening weekend of the year, behind another Marvel movie, the Doctor Strange sequel, which opened to $187 million in May. Wakanda Forever set a record for the biggest November opening of all time, beating the second Hunger Games film. The first Black Panther opened at $202 million in 2018. At number 4.
Is it Christmas now, Papa?
It's not Christmas until we hear the bells.
The bells. The hopeful voice of the church.
It's a Studio 5 first look at Sight and Sound theaters entering the world of feature films with I Heard the Bells, the inspiring true story behind a beloved Christmas carol and its author, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, in theaters for 3 days in December.
I intend for my pen to raise unity, not swords.
Well, it has raised an army of swords. I will stand and I will fight.
Promise me you will not let this war take our sons. You have my promise.
At number 3. Studio 5 is praying for the incredible voice that is Roberta Flack.
And now, let's see a big smile.
Who's sharing heartbreaking news with the world this week.
Iconic singer Roberta Flack revealing she was diagnosed with ALS and can no longer sing. A statement from Flack's rep says it's also hard for the 85-year-old Grammy winner to talk, but she says it'll take more than that to silence the icon.
First time ever I saw your face.
At number 2.
This is war. And we're up.
I can't tell you how many times people have told me to give up, quit, die even.
We have more from the life of elite Navy pilot Jesse Brown, America's first black naval aviator, whose love story...
Don't be discouraged, Angel. Believe in God and believe in Him with all your might. And I know that things will work out all right.
And life story are coming to the big screen this Thanksgiving in the film Devotion, starring Jonathan Majors as Jesse Brown and Glenn Powell as naval aviator Tom Hudner.
It's good to know the men you're flying with. See what they're fighting for.
What are you fighting for?
Hoping to find that out.
Try to keep up.
Glenn, how would you describe the relationship between these 2 elite Navy fighter pilots? You play Tom, you guys play off of each other quite well. How do you describe this relationship?
I think what was, when I got to meet Tom Hudner, when I was getting the rights to the book and his life story, what I noticed was every day of Tom Hudner's life included Jesse Brown. And when I went to his funeral, and we put him to rest in Arlington, the Brown family was there, and there was this legacy of camaraderie and friendship, and this. We always described that this relationship is not friendship; it's they were soulmates.
You're the only person I ever met belonged in the sky. Just remember, you belong down here with us too, okay?
At number 1.
Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living.
Another week and more good news from Dolly Parton.
A lot of people are asking, what would Dolly do? And here's why. Country music legend Dolly Parton was just awarded $100 million by Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. He named Parton the winner of the 2022 Courage and Civility Award.
Well, did you say $100 million? When people are in a position to help, you should help. And I know that I've always said I try to put my money where my heart is.
Aww. All the money will be donated to charity of Dolly's choice. No word yet on how she plans to give away the money, but we know it's going to be good.
Working 9 to 5. Give me 5.
Stay tuned for your Friday Faithful. It's coming up next. We'll be right back. Time now for your Friday Faithful. I encourage you to remember this. God is faithful. He honors his promise to never leave you and to never forsake you. He is a promise keeper. In fact, he's the only one whose track record remains perfect, all the way to the cross, death, and the resurrection. With this truth, I encourage you to make today a fabulous Friday and have yourself a wonderfully restful weekend. Well, that will do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can always find more of our programs on the CBN News channel. You can find them there at any time, as well as online at cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us. The address is right there at the bottom of your screen, newswatch@cbn.com. You can also reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you right back here next time. Bye-bye, everybody.